week. Let's kick off with a look at the headlines of the week with Will Richmond, digital news editor at the Herald News. Hey, Will, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks, Keith. It's good to see you.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about this week in a short period of time. Actually, our top story is actually sort of breaking as we speak. The Herald News, you guys are reporting that it looks like Market Basket may be coming to Fall River at the old side of the Harbor Mall, where there's going to be some development in that area. What can you tell us of what we know thus far about this happening?
Well, it was announced this morning, not so much with the identity of Market Basket, by Ken Fiola, the executive vice president of FroEd, that a grocery store chain was going to be filing for a TIF agreement with the city today at noon. It did turn out we were able to confirm that filing was Market Basket, and the idea is that they'll be looking to sort of split off some space in the planned redevelopment of the new Harbor Mall for the long-awaited Market Basket.
Okay, so this had been rumored when the announcement was made last fall about plans for that area, but obviously wasn't confirmed, and now it looks like you guys have confirmed that this may be the case. So that's good. The story is still developing, obviously, so just make sure you check back with the Herald News to get the latest update, and we'll have what we can when we do here on FRC Media News. So that is actually the breaking news as we're on the air here on Thursday. Let's slip into some of the other headlines from the past week, Will. Since we spoke 1 week ago, the city has had 2 snowstorms. The region has had 2 snowstorms with school closings and parking bans and the like. And you had a good story in the paper this week about the results of that parking ban, the fact that the city issued over 1,700 parking violations or snow ban violations from a week ago. Do you, over those 2 storms, actually, do you know if the amount of tickets that they have, has that been like a regular occurrence? Is that natural? Is this more than normal? Did you guys do any background on the history of issuing these tickets?
Well, it seems there may have been an aggressive ticketing for the initial storm.
The one last Friday.
The Friday storm,
right.
Yes. Certainly that one resulted in the issuing of approximately 1,300 tickets, many fewer for the second storm on Monday. So it seems either a combination of people not heeding the warnings and the city wanting to make sure that when the next storm came, people would be moving their cars. I think, last year with the amount of snow we got so quickly in late January and February, it started to become a matter of parking attrition. People were leaving their cars where they were. You couldn't get them shoveled out in some cases. And I don't even think the parking officers could reach the cars to ticket them in some cases as well last year. So this, I think, is a proactive approach to try to get the warning out early and send the message to move your car when the parking ban is in effect. Right.
And, the paper had a good editorial this week talking about the fact that, unlike years past, the city has done a pretty good job in alerting people of the fact that there's a snow ban. The technology of weather today is such that we pretty much know with some accuracy a day or 2 before a storm the impact that a storm may have. And a lot of times the city will issue its parking ban 24 hours plus ahead of when it's in effect. So plus there's robocalls that go out to people with landlines in the city about the fact that there's a parking ban. And I guess in this day and age, the editorial made the case that there really shouldn't be any gripe with not being able to heed the notice of a parking ban. Is that correct?
Yeah, certainly. I can think of in advance of Monday's storm, the parking ban was issued, or notice of the parking ban was issued early Sunday afternoon, even though it wasn't going into effect until 12:01 Monday morning. People had a good 12 hours of time before the parking ban went into effect to make decisions on where to locate their car, to move it, to find alternative parking if necessary. So even plenty of time in effect, plenty of notification went out. posted here on the Herald News website. I know the notices go to you guys as well,
Right.
and are likely posted. So, I mean, if people aren't finding notification of it, they simply aren't looking.
And of course, with social media, once it's seen, people, individuals share that information with their friends, and there really is no excuse for not heeding those calls. If you don't, it'll cost you $40, right? That is the ticket, right? $40 per violation.
Yeah, and that's kind of could even be the low end of what you're
Right.
looking at. I mean, if you're clogging up the streets, you run the risk of, a plow coming by and partially clipping your car. Or you're running the potential of blocking emergency vehicles from getting through. So, I mean, the $40 may be the least of your problems if
Right.
you don't follow the ban.
Right. All right, next up, we talked about this somewhat last week, the issue of net school spending and the spending budget of the City of Fall River Public Schools. This week, the city administration met with the school committee rather the city council, to discuss what the net school spending number is still for this fiscal year, not even talking about fiscal 2017. And there's still some discrepancy, Will, about what that number is, what the city still owes, or what is still owed the school department for net school spending. And it seems like it can get really confusing.
Yeah, like we said last week, net school spending is a confusing topic to figure out, to know what's included in it, what isn't. I think this week's meeting with the city council was more of a it was less of an update on what the number is and more of an informational session for the city council.
Right.
I imagine, there's been conversations between the school department and the mayor's administration. Those conversations were probably taking place even before Jazel Correa took office. And the city council has been sort of the third party in this. The city council certainly has limited role in the school department that basically comes down to approving or rejecting the budget as a whole, which includes the school department number. So whether or not they expected much of an update on what that number was going to be, I don't think that was planned for the meeting on Tuesday night. But there's certainly more to be hashed out on this topic.
Right, and as the new budget comes forward as well, there's going to be some more discussion on the budget of 2017. You had an opportunity today on your PolitiBeat blog at the Herald News to give some guesses, and this is only Will Richmond's guesses, on maybe potential future superintendent of schools. As we know, Meg Mayo Brown is stepping down at the end of this fiscal year in June, and you gave your best shot on who may be possibly a contender for the school superintendent position. Obviously, the process is just starting. An RFP is going out for a search, but it was interesting that you lent your 2 cents into this.
Sure. Prior to my role as an editor, I spent about 10 years covering the school department.
Right.
So I've been watching the superintendent process with some interest, and I just thought I'd take a stab. 4 names that have sort of been running through my head, especially in the past week or so, as to those who could apply for the position, just sort of with the idea of they have ties to the district or knowledge of leading urban districts, certainly in the case of the former Education Secretary, Matt Malone. So I just thought I'd throw some names out there at this point and see where they may stand. Like you said, we're very early in this process. The search process is just beginning with the RFP going out for consultant. So just pure guesses at this point with what I know about the district.
Yeah, it's always good to throw some conjecture every now and then. Doesn't hurt. It gets people talking, and that's what we want. We want people to talk about their city and what's important to them. Just as a follow-up again, following this segment and after our break, Donna Mata will be sitting down with our current superintendent of schools, Meg Mayo Brown, to discuss her tenure in her position. All right, Will, what do we have coming up at the Herald News over the next few days?
Well, coming up this weekend, it's Valentine's Day on Sunday, so we actually turn to some couples that have been together for a very long time and some that are just starting, and ask them what their secrets to the love in their relationship is. We're also taking a look at the growing popularity of conservation subdivisions in Swansea, a concept that, while it puts houses closer to each other in subdivisions to create green space. It's something that sort of balances the attempt to protect rural character as communities grow.
All right, sounds good, Will. We'll talk again next week. Take care.